So Joe Biden has now weighed in on the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade within the next month or two. The recount clipped out this video here. Let's play it and then I'll react to it.
Sir, Mr. President, did it do away with the filibuster to codify Roe?
I'm not prepared to make those judgments now about, but I think the codification of Roe makes a lot of sense. Look, think what Roe says. Roe says what all basic mainstream religions have historically concluded, that the existence of a human life and being is a question. Is it at the moment of conception? Is it 6 months? Is it 6 weeks? Is it quickening, like Aquinas argued? I mean, so the idea that we're...
He just referenced Aquinas. Low-key, sort of impressed by that, not going to lie.
Going to make a judgment that is going to say that no one can make the judgment to choose to abort a child based on a decision by the Supreme Court, I think goes way overboard.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So the key portion was at the very beginning. I'll play that part for you one more time.
Sir, Mr. President, did it do away with the filibuster to codify Roe?
I'm not prepared to make those judgments now about, but I think the codification of Roe makes a lot of sense. Look,
notice how he pivots off that quickly. Yeah, the codification of Roe makes a lot of sense. Look, and then he moves on quickly. And he said, I'm not prepared to make that judgment now. So what the question that they're asking is, look, we know you don't have 60 votes to make Roe versus Wade the law of the land, because they would need 60 votes in order to make it the law of the land. We know you don't have that. So are you willing to make an exception to the filibuster rule to try to codify Roe versus Wade with 51 votes? Now, by the way, you're not going to be surprised to hear this. Not even sure we have 51 votes, because I'm pretty sure Manchin is pro-life. Isn't it amazing? Like, it doesn't matter what the issue is. It could be the most settled issue of all time, and somehow you can't cobble together 51 Democrats to do the right thing. And remember, this is an instance of, it's not just that progress has stalled or become stagnant. This is like, we're just going to roll the clock backwards. And even then, it's like, I can't cobble together 51 votes. But it doesn't matter, because even if you could, Joe Biden is saying, I'm not going to do an exception to the filibuster to try to codify Roe versus Wade. Now, understand, when Joe Biden ran for president, Joe Biden said, I'm going to codify Roe versus Wade. This is he's tweeted about it, he's talked about it, and the whole idea behind that is, hey, if the Supreme Court ever overturns it, we'll just codify it into law so that, at least we have an insurance policy, basically. And he didn't do it. Now, not only that, there's been a number of Democratic presidents over the past few decades who have had supermajorities at various times. Now, Joe Biden has never had a supermajority, to be fair to him, but Barack Obama had a supermajority. And he also said, I'm going to codify Roe versus Wade. Even with the supermajority, he did not codify Roe versus Wade. And, we can get into a deeper conversation, too, about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have stepped down in 2013 or 2014, should have put her own ego and narcissism and careerism aside and said, you know what, look, it's for the better of the country if I step aside now. But she didn't. And so she ended up, of course, dying under Trump, and then Trump got to pick Ruth Bader Ginsburg's replacement. And, so there's been failure after failure after failure from the Democrats here. And what's amazing is that even after we get the news that Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned, they're still refusing to fight. They're still refusing to do the stuff that they have to do in order to try to keep the policy effectively the same all around the country. So for those of you who don't know the way that this works, I'll break it down for you again, although I think most of you probably do know how this works. But with Roe versus Wade being overturned, what that means is they are saying, right now, abortion is legal in all 50 states. What they're saying is, we're going to repeal Roe versus Wade, and so abortion is not going to be legal in all 50 states anymore. It's going to be left up to the states to determine on their own. So there's 13 states that have snapback provisions that are triggered immediately as soon as Roe versus Wade is struck down, where in 13 states, abortion is totally legal. totally illegal. Like, from second number one that Roe versus Wade is overturned. 13 states fall into that category. There's another anywhere from 21 to 24 states that will ban abortion in due time. So, about half the states, they're going to totally ban abortion. And in the blue states, abortion will still be legal. That's the way it works. But if the federal government passes a law to make Roe versus Wade law, well, then it would remain legal in all 50 states, unless and until the Republicans get a supermajority, and then they would probably overturn that. But they're not even doing that. Now, the craziest part is, it's not even like you would have to get rid of the entire filibuster in order to get something like this through. You could just do an exception to the filibuster for Roe versus Wade, but they don't even want to do that. It's astonishing. I mean, look, there's a principled argument that I think is pretty appealing to just get rid of the filibuster, period, because it just makes DC more small d democratic. But he won't even do it for this. I'm not prepared to make that judgment now. Like, what good are you? What good are these people? I said it earlier, but the Democrats are like the Washington Generals. It's like they're paid to lose time and time and time again. And this is a time when this is going to fire up the Democratic base. Like, this is going to get Democrats out to vote. And still, given that, they can't take advantage of it and say anything good or decent or fight in any way, shape, or form. It's like, well, what is that Aquinas said? Where am I? The life does begin at the beginning or at 6 weeks or something. Huh? This is all we get from Biden. I'm not prepared to make that judgment now. So let me give you the rest of his statement here. So this is when he was, answering questions. But this is from ABC News. This is the official statement from President Biden. We do not know whether this draft is genuine. By the way, the Supreme Court has come out and said it is genuine. So he said this before we got that approval. Or whether it reflects the final decision of the court. It almost certainly will. With that critical caveat, I want to be clear on 3 points about the cases before the Supreme Court. First, my administration argued strongly before the court in defense of Roe versus Wade. We said that Roe is based on a long line of precedent recognizing the 14th Amendment's concept of personal liberty against government interference with intensely personal decisions. I believe that a woman's right to choose is fundamental. Roe has been the law of the land for almost 50 years, and basic fairness and the stability of our law demand that it not be overturned. Second, shortly after the enactment of Texas Law SB 8, and other laws restricting women's reproductive rights, I directed my Gender Policy Council and White House counsel's office to prepare options for an administration response to the continued attack on abortion and reproductive rights under a variety of possible outcomes in the cases pending before the Supreme Court. We will be ready when any ruling is issued. You most certainly will not. Third, if the court does overturn Roe, it will fall on our nation's elected officials at all levels of government to protect a woman's right to choose. Now, hold on. You just said you're not willing to make that decision right now if you would have an exception to the filibuster to codify Roe versus Wade. So what does that mean? Well, the politicians should really do something about this. You're the president. You should do something about it. You should. Oh, man. And it will fall on voters to elect pro-choice officials this November. There it is. It's the same thing. Vote harder. Wait a second, but people did. They did vote for you harder. And you, at least in the Obama years, you had a supermajority. Right this very second, Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. You have all three branches of government. And he's talking like he doesn't have all three branches of government. He's talking like they never had a supermajority. But if when we get the supermajority, we get, like, for example, Obamacare, which was a Heritage Foundation plan, it's a right-wing healthcare reform. How do you think that's a convincing argument to people? You have to fight, and you have to actually stand for the right things, and he's not doing it. At the federal level, we will need more pro-choice senators and pro-choice majority in the House to adopt legislation that codifies Roe, which I will work to pass and sign into law. Right this very second, as I'm talking to you right now, Nancy Pelosi and some other top-level establishment Democrats are in Texas, and they're trying to get Henry Cuellar elected. I think his first name is Henry. His last name is Cuellar. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But he is an anti-choice Democrat. He is a pro-life Democrat. And he's up against Jessica Cisneros, who is a pro-choice Democrat, and they're trying to defeat the pro-choice Democrat. It's hard to look at the state of affairs and not say that the Democrats are the Washington Generals. Now, by the way, I'm not as familiar with Biden's history on the issue of abortion, but I could almost guarantee you In fact, put it in the comment section if you guys do know. I can almost guarantee you there have been times where Biden has taken the wrong position on abortion. There have been times where he's flirted with pro-life politics. I can almost guarantee it, because if I know anything about Biden, is that when I look in his past, he's a moderate Republican. He's one of those, like, let me reach across the aisle and, always work with Republicans on everything. So, but correct me if I'm wrong. More than happy to be wrong on that. I hope I am wrong on that. But again, put it in the comment section if you guys happen to know. We're now... Progress that has been made is now being reversed, and the Democrats' response to that is... So in other words, it's the response that they always have. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.